and Gays Against Guns react to the Brooklyn attack. America is once again reacting to another bloody mass shooting. Another opportunity for thoughts, prayers, and inaction. If any of this is surprising to you, then you haven't been paying attention to America. In this week's SFGN, online now and on stands tomorrow, I talk with one of the founders of Gays Against Guns, a group fighting gun violence. Based in New York, it was created after the Pulse Nightclub shooting and works to prevent tragedies like the one we saw in Brooklyn. One of their founders, Jay Walker, told me, quote, "Tuesday's mass shooting in the subway and the wave of gun violence in our recent months reflect just how vulnerable all New Yorkers are, and all Americans, to the overall proliferation of guns throughout all society," end quote. Sadly, the situation could get much worse very soon. The U.S. Supreme Court will soon issue a ruling in a case that could strike down New York's gun laws, some of the strictest in the country. The case is brought by one of the NRA's crony groups. If the conservative court strikes down the laws, Gays Against Guns believes it will set off an even bigger arms race between criminals and police and ultimately affect poor and minority communities the hardest. Read more about the case and Gays Against Guns in this week's SFGN, online now and on stands tomorrow, and an update to the story. 62-year-old Frank James has been arrested just hours after being named as a suspect.
Wow. I got to start supporting Gays Against Guns.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that they were out there. You
Yeah.
didn't either, right?
I didn't know about it.
Well, and this gentleman, Mr. James, that was just arrested, like you had
Why do you use the
told
word
us,
gentleman?
That guy, okay? I mean, he had a rap sheet my arm long, okay?
Right.
He was arrested in Jersey a bunch of times. He was arrested in New York a bunch of times. And you know,
He had a rap sheet John Holmes long, okay? I mean, we're talking big time.
So, but I mean, you know, something horrible has to happen, you know, and for us to like be alert. And then, like you said in your story, then nothing comes out of it.
John, in your interview with Gays Against Guns, any optimism, or it's just a statement of fact, this is just one more thing?
Not much optimism, a little bit of resignation, although you don't want to get out over your skis, but we figure the court is probably not going to come down on us. But we sort of know how this goes. First, there will be the thoughts and prayers. Then the NRA and their toadies will lie low for a couple of days, you know, kind of hopefully let this pass. And then they'll be on to attack the victims and the survivors and the survivors' families. It's what they did in
Including the
Parkland.
children at Sandy Hook. They
Yes.
were to blame.
Well, you know,
Yeah.
there are more than I can count shootings that have happened in recent months that don't even get news airtime.
Because it's not worthy anymore.
Because it's becomes so commonplace.
You know, I hope, and no disrespect, and I hope there's not too many trolls out there that hate me for observational comment. But first, before you come after me, remember I was a principal voice of support at Pulse. The first and arguably one of the most famous people connected with Pulse, Eddie Sotomayor. I always say his name. He worked for me. He worked for the RuPaul cruises, etc. Very noted. Was the first name announced killed at Pulse. I have done so many things in trying to represent Eddie in the way that he should have been represented respectfully. I've talked about gun violence ad nauseum. The National Rifle Association was virtually bankrupt. We finally got them by the throat, and we had our heel on their throat, and they're back. And they're coming back, and they're going to come back stronger than ever before because of the radical conservative point of view in America is going to allow that to come back. To rail against guns is similar to say, oh, that's a blue sky, and I hate blue skies. What are you going to do about the blue sky? And that's where we are in guns. And so forgive me for sounding a pessimist, which is why I ask you this question, because I just don't see any path. I see no path at all. And then I face the people that are much better at staying in the fight than me, because I can feel myself giving up over the discussion of guns.
It's a sad commentary on our society.
LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Laura are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support.
like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth